Greetings, welcome to my channel, My Lioness Journey. My name is Nechelle, and in today's video I've just decided that I am going to just share my own tea. And I'm smiling because it feels good to be at a point in life where I can smile. I'm actually surprised. I've been knowing I need to do this as far as share that I left a narcissist and what that's about for me. So I'm surprised that I'm finally going through with this, but I feel like that it is important. It's important to share this. I've watched many videos from professionals, which has really helped me. Like, it's some amazing channels out here on YouTube where professional people that are on the clinical side of things, that are maybe some of them are or have been a victim of any type of abuse as a child or in a romantic relationship or whatever, and some of them are not, but they have the clinical perspective to be able to tell you the definition breakdown of why a person behave in such a manner and the probability of them changing. And so I'm very thankful for those channels. I'm deciding to make this video as a way for me to be able to look back to see my own growth as I am healing and growing through these things, but to also speak from a person that is actually going through it at the time, like the actual, I don't like the word victim, I really don't, but the person that is experiencing the heartache, the pain, or the after effects of abuse. And in this video, narcissistic abuse, because I have experienced other abuses, especially as a child, which I personally feel like groomed me to be in a narcissistic marriage. But I think about it as like, if someone is dealing with the illness and they go to a doctor and the doctor says, tell them, well, you're going to have to take this type of medicine or stop eating this or whatever they're going through. But then if they could speak to a person, another person that is not clinical, that have gone through it or beat the odds or whatever, and they could speak to that person and that person could tell them how they felt emotionally when they were told they were diagnosed, or the different things that they did in addition to what the doctor said. That's the perspective I'm coming from, and I know there are many other people out here on YouTube that is doing that, but that's part of the reason why I'm deciding to share my business and be vulnerable. So now let me go into my situation. When you include the separation time, because we're separated, and right now I'm in the latter phases of going through a divorce. So when you include all of that time, I'll say I was, because I'm claiming divorce, married to my narcissistic husband for 14 and a half years. And we met online. I'm not going to say the name of the dating site. I do know at that particular time when we met, it was a very popular site. The interesting thing is, when I went on that website, I wasn't looking for anyone. I was actually in school at the time for an undergrad degree. And I live in Florida, and I knew at the time that I wanted to move to Charlotte, North Carolina, like that area, because I was told that, well, based off of my research and speaking to some people, it was a good area, especially for African Americans to be successful, in addition to Atlanta. That was, I was looking to, okay, I'll get my degree and I won't move to Atlanta area, I'll move to Charlotte. So I had a few months left before I would get that degree. So I decided to go on this dating site, not to look for anyone, but I was specifically reaching out to guys, because I don't know anyone, well, at the time I didn't know anyone that lived in that area. So I wanted to reach out to guys and say, hey, listen, I'm not looking for anything romantic. Would you tell me about this area? Like, what places would you recommend as far as where to live and cost of living or whatever? And I did have some people respond back like, oh, okay, well, this and that, live here, this and that about taxes or whatever. But although I was reaching out to people in that area, I still would, if someone locally would reach out to me, I'll be like, oh, okay, well, they seem safe, or I'll do a little quick search to see if they have, you know, some issues or they've been to jail or something. Okay, well, I'll go on a date with this person. Now, my ex-husband didn't live in the same state. He lived in a different state, and he reached out to me. And I remember looking at his picture, and I'm like, he's a nice looking guy. And when I read his description of what he was looking for, I was kind of like, yeah, some of the things he was describing kind of physically that he was attracted to, I'm like, well, I'm not totally shaped like that. Like, I have a little something that I'm working with, but I'm not totally shaped like that. And I remember when I finally responded to him, like, hey, you said you like somebody with a, you know, a little meat on their bones. Like, I have a little something, but I'm not, you know, if I'm thinking what you're thinking, you wanted someone that at the time they didn't have Instagram models, but the equivalent to that, like you're looking for someone that's like Instagram model, you know, backside is like this. Well, that ain't me. It's like, oh no. And so, and I'm mentioning that because in future videos, this will come up again in a way when I describe something. And so I'll fast forward as far as the relationship. The relationship moved fast, okay? It moved fast. Now, before I met him, I was celibate, and one thing about it, like if I was in between relationship, I didn't have like a maintenance person. If you all know what that means, it's like, okay, just kind of take my time. I don't think I did the best reflection, but I would try to, you know, reflect on, okay, what's going on, or why am I not able to find what I'm looking for? But ultimately, not really considering that my childhood played a lot in why I was choosing the type of people I was choosing, because I had a narcissistic mother, and I was physically abused by that mother, and that mother had a lot of not so nice things, a lot of things that she said didn't pour into me the right way. And so therefore I grew up looking at myself in a certain way. Now, by the time I met him, I thought I was loving myself because I dressed nice, my hair was done, the little bit of makeup I knew how to do, I could do that. And so I thought I was loving myself because I had all these nice clothes and I looked the part. So anyway, we met, let's say that in May of that year. So we met May, oh God, am I saying this right? Okay, so we met May. We basically called ourselves a couple in June. Yes, fast. In August of that same year, he proposed to me on my birthday. September, we were married. 4 months after meeting each other, married. We moved that fast. And then the very next year, we had a wedding in March of the next year. And the month after that, I got pregnant with our first daughter. So the relationship it moved pretty fast. And even in that time, I saw a lot of red flags. And a lot of these red flags I ignored. But, you know, when I think about just so many thoughts about that, it's like I saw the red flags, yet I had this certain type of mindset like, oh, this is something that we can get through, or maybe I could be a certain way, or love him a certain way, or be rough a kind of way, or nicer kind of way. I don't know. It's almost like falling in the trap of thinking you could control the situation or make it improve. Those first couple of months, oh man, we argued constantly. Like we argued weekly. And I remember I hated Fridays because that would be the worst, because Friday went into the weekend. Now, prior to all of that heavy bickering, I remember he would say things because early on in the relationship, he did what I call the gathering. And to me, the gathering means, I'm going to tell you some things about myself that are personal, but I'm okay with you knowing this, but I'm telling you these things because I want you to tell me some things about yourself. And I'm going to tell you, look, you're going to be my wife and you can trust me with this information. And listen, I told you these things about me. So you should feel comfortable to tell me these things about you. And so, rightfully, so I'm like, well, yeah, this is my husband. He would never hurt me with information that I share with him. And so I shared with him a lot of things that were hurtful, especially with my childhood, things that were very sensitive and very painful that I experienced as a child and dealing with childhood abuse and just different experiences, whether it was a romantic relationship. And that was the other thing. He was very insecure about whom I dated, like if I ever loved someone. And I was very insecure about if he would meet someone new, like that he sees some pretty girl with the humongous behind that he said in his thing. So I had insecurities about who he could potentially date. He had insecurities about who I have dated before him. And so in the beginning of the relationship, he would say some of the nastiest things. And I remember one time saying to him, you know what? Because I know, like my mother, the type of mother, the things I heard my mother say to me, my siblings, or whomever she dated at that time. I'm like, listen, it's in me to say some stuff. I could be a little rough around the edges. I'm warning you now. If you don't stop saying these things, you told me some things about yourself as well. So I want to let you have it. So he was like, okay. Sure enough, the next argument came. He said all his nasty things. I said something back. And he was like, oh, I can't believe you said that. And I'm like, well, I told you. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, now that he knows that I'm capable of saying the same things, he sees how terrible that feels for someone to throw something in your face that you shared with them that was personal, that it would stop. No, it was almost like foreplay. I don't know, like we just getting started. So for the longest, we're going back and forth. Meanwhile, when I meet this man, I have two younger children. At the time, these two children, they are young adults now, but at the time they were like, one was in the last year of elementary school and the other one was already in middle school. Okay, so they hear some of the arguing because we're arguing in the room, or they're in their room. We might be in the living room and we start to argue. And at some point with all of this arguing, I felt terrible. And I was like, I don't want to live this kind of life. And I said this to him, and I started talking about, listen, let's become religious or something. We need to do something. We need either religion or some therapy or counseling, because both of us had tough childhoods. I know this isn't right. This here, what I'm experiencing with you, this is the type of stuff that in the type of neighborhoods that I grew up in, when the people receive their assistance, and I'm not saying like trying to knock anyone that have to receive governmental assistance. I'm just telling you all what I experienced and what I said to this man. When people receive their assistance, okay, and they got their food stamps, I would see them walk in with their the beer and the drinks, the snacks, the crabs, or whatever the hell they're gonna have, because they're gonna have a crab boil. And then give it about 2 hours later, maybe 3, when the liquor kick in, the two sisters on the porch fighting, or the husband, and I don't know why they always brought it out to the front door, but the husband and the wife fighting, and then us on the other side, we'll pull out our lawn chairs. Back then we didn't know to pop popcorn, but we'll pull out the lawn chairs and we're just watching this like back and forth, like laughing and like, oh my goodness, because no one's pulled out a weapon, but we're watching this, but we knew to expect this. And I told him, this is what this reminded me of. And I remember one of the reasons why I wanted to go to college or get out of these type of neighborhoods, because I didn't want to live a life like that. I didn't want to be bickering and going back and forth with my husband, and then after the liquor wears off, now we're back fine. And I was like, I don't want to live a life like that. And to argue back and forth with you, I said, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good in my soul. It feels disgusting. I don't feel like two people that say that they love each other should talk to each other in that way. And in that moment, it feels like I went from being just as aggressive to Now I'm totally more passive, and the arguments went from being accused and blamed and got worse and nastier to me explaining myself like, no, I really do love you. No, I wasn't being selfish. I wasn't trying to be selfish. Or when I said this, I really did care about this or whatever. Like, it went to that. And before you know it, I'm being called, and this is over the years, I'm being called all types of B words, because I know we're limited on what we can say on these videos. Dumb B, stupid B, broke B. The things that I told him about my mother, he would bring up, you're a B like your mother. You ain't gonna be anything like your mother. Your kid's not gonna be anything. I mean, any nasty, and I feel like I'm telling you all nice things, because this is pretty much video number 1, maybe number 2 if you count the introduction. These words got nastier and nastier over time, and it really started to affect me. My health started suffering, my mental health. I remember, because in addition to him doing that, he's also an alcoholic. He has some other addictions that he has going on sexually. And I just remember feeling like at some point in my life, like I just didn't want to be here or deal with this. You know, I would mention to him, you know, you say these things or whatever, and then you complain that I'm not as affectionate, or I don't want to dress a certain type of way to turn you on. But being called the B word, stupid or dumb, or a lot of the disgusting things this man said to me doesn't make me want to put on things. You know, no woman in their right mind, husband, does and say these type of things, and she goes, oh my God, really? I'm a stupid bee? Well, let me go get the lingerie and just make you feel like a wonderful man. No woman in her right mind would want to do that. And at some point, when I would feel like I would want to leave, at some point he was like, you can stay home. You know, you can quit your job. I know you've been wanting to quit the job, and I had entrepreneur endeavors that I wanted to embark upon. And he was like, oh yeah, you could do that. And I don't care if I have to work 2 jobs. I love you. I don't want to lose you. You're a good woman, yada, yada. And I remember saying to him, if I quit this job, because I've always worked in some type of capacity. I've always worked. Because the type of mother that I had, that was in her house, you were going to work. You're going to be working in her house, scrubbing and cleaning, and you're going to work outside her house. And that's just how I grew up. And I said to him, if I quit this job, are you going to throw in my face that you're taking care of me or you're paying the bills, even though you're telling me that I could leave, and you'll hold the bills down and you want to see me be successful, whatever? And he was like, no, I wouldn't say anything like that. And I tell you what, I left that job because while I was in the process of leaving it, I had started preparing, because I got a booth at the flea market, because I had make some things jewelry wise at that time, and I'm considering doing it again. I'm not sure, but anyway. And so my son at the time, the one that was in elementary school when we met, at this time my son was a teenager. He was in high school. And he helped me. He would help me as far as like, so I can get my booth together. And I quit the job and I got my booth at the flea market. And it wasn't I didn't even think I got to make it a month. By a month's time, that man told me that I had to leave. It was too hard for him to, because at this time we had 2 daughters together. Oh, it's too hard to be with the girls for the few hours. So basically, he never intended on being supportive while I tried to start a side business or anything like that. He just wanted me to quit the job. In hindsight, I feel like to be able to control me, because once I stopped working, oh my God, I really heard the broke B, and I'm the one that make the money. I'm the one with the job. B, you can get out of my house, you stupid B, get out of my house. Every time we could be arguing or have had a disagreement about anything that has nothing to do with, like, it could be something like, oh God, let's think. I don't know, just think about something simple like, okay, I'll think of something. Like I may say to him, okay, I cleaned this whole bathroom. He like a lot of stuff on the counter. I don't like as much stuff on the counter. And I might say something like, hey, you know, if I clean up, can you know, kind of keep your stuff on your side, or at least let it be clean for a week or whatever, you know, something fair. And I'm not like, would you please put your stuff away? Nope. No. But with narcissists, they're very sensitive. And before you know it, B, you trying to control me, you stupid B, or you broke B, and this is my house, and you get out of my house. And I've been chatting and talking for a while. Just kind of want to give you all, because I will further elaborate in more videos about my experience with this abuse. What I can tell you is there was a lot of breaking points for me. It got to a point to where I started being in the bedroom. And I started going in the bedroom because something as simple as watching a movie with my own husband would be hard. So let's say we're watching a movie and there's a couple on there. He'll be one like he's the people or something. So let's say a woman is upset, a woman, because her husband isn't showing her attention or something like that, or he's taking her for granted. Some kind of way he's the woman. And he's like, I'm a hard-working black man, ex-military with a degree, and you don't appreciate me or whatever. And they'd be like, where the hell this comes from? Like, where is this? Like, we're saying that we want to try to spend time, and then all of a sudden, just snap. And or we can be talking about one thing, or he could be telling me something about one of his friends with they had an argument, the wife and the husband had an argument, some kind of way he's relating, and then like he's upset because the man went through something with the wife, and the wife was, based off of the man's interpretation, the wife was being selfish or disrespectful or whatever the hell, and some kind of way it's applicable to us, and he's going off on me. So I found myself going inside of the bedroom, or a spare room we had in a place we lived, depending on where we lived at the time. And the room felt like a safe haven. The room felt like, okay, obviously we can't really watch much together or do much, and this is terrible. And I've tried throughout the years to, like, hey, we need to spend family time together. The girls will be, before you know it, they'll be adults, and because now the older two, they were young adults and gone. And then we need to be able to spend time to be able to speak our love language and stop all this arguing or whatever. Like, what the heck? And then he'll act like he understands. You know what, I'm so sorry, because if you talk to me that way and you're so strong, I would have been left, or I wouldn't want no one to talk to any of my daughters this way. And so I found myself going to the room. And eventually that safe haven room started feeling like a personal hell, because I found myself rather be in the room than to be around my own husband, to keep from either being yelled at, or if he gets mad enough, being choked or punched in the head, because that has happened too. The abuse has been more verbal and psychological than physical, but it's all terrible. And I got to a point to where I didn't want to be here. And the only reason why at the time that I can fight was because of my kids. I started having thoughts of how I could end this, because at this time I'm not working. I hadn't worked for a couple of years. And we did some moving out of the state. And I was in a deep depression at a certain point, and just feeling like, damn, I can't go to my mom or my dad. They're not in a situation where I can go to them. They're not married any longer. They've been divorced. They separated when I was a baby. Another video. I can't, I just didn't feel like I had anyone. And I remember feeling broken and torn, and I went through a point in my life where I was so angry with myself. And I was like, how stupid can you be that you allowed this man to come in your life? Why didn't you leave? And why did you quit your job? And just so angry with myself. And I would cry and I would be sad, and I'd be like, you mean to tell me I was born to be all these people doormat? My mother, anybody in between that, kids in school, my own husband, to be this man's doormat? You mean to tell me that this is the reason why I was born? And the only reason why I made it through those times is because my children was a source of strength. And at that time when I couldn't see the worth in myself, I had to rely on the love that I have for my children. Meanwhile, this man is getting worse with not only how he's talking to me, he's on dating sites and porn sites and getting telephone numbers and claiming I never physically touched a person. Well, you've done enough. You might as well. I did this because I was mad at you. Or whenever he would get angry, you know what? I'm going on the internet right now and find someone to, I'm going to find me someone that, okay. And I already had insecurity issues. And then he would turn around and tell family, friends, she's so insecure. Yeah, when your own husband tells you that he's going to go screw someone as a form to punish you, yeah, you're going to believe that. And when I got to this point where I felt like I didn't want to be here, and knowing that I have a total of 4 children that I birthed, that they don't deserve this. And when I thought about, if I hurt myself, you mean to tell me these younger 2, they're going to be left to him to raise? So at that point, at some moment in time, I decided that enough was enough. And I had to fight for my own life and my own right, because I could see where this person was trying to destroy me. It got to the point where he's literally in the bed next to me, talking to women on a dating site, looking over to see if I can see what he's doing on the phone. And I was like this Inspector Gadget, because at some point I was addicted to searching to see what he was doing, only to stay in it. And I'll look on, and this is how I knew I was fed up, because usually if I would find something, I'd be like, oh my God, you was talking to this woman, how dare you, blah, blah. I knew how to go in and see, and I could see he just a minute ago responded to some woman. I'll just shake my head, and I'm like, this person is never going to change. This person is trying to kill my soul. This person is trying to kill my soul. He is draining, sucking me dry. Meanwhile, he's elevating at work, right? And he's going up. We met, he was a supervisor, and he goes up to a high-level manager making 6 figures. And I'm doing this. And I'm constantly being told and reminded that I don't have nothing. I can't even buy myself a coffee drink without him. I'm being told so many things that a man should not tell their wife. Year after year after year, wondering when this hell is going to end. So I found it in me. This process started in 2017 to be able to get the strength to walk away and to say enough is enough. And then in 2020, as we're all going through a pandemic, I decided to start the process. I had to live with a friend temporarily, and I moved back home because at the time we were living in a different part of Florida, and I decided to come back home. 2017 started the process of knowing that I had to fight for my right to be who I was supposed to be as a person, as a divine soul with my own journey and my own mission, and that I had the right to not be anyone's doormat, a physical punching bag or emotional punching bag or verbal punching bag. So in 2020, with the help of my son, who lives out of town, and a friend of his. I was able to move back home, and when I say I started over from basically nothing, everything that the girls and I owned that we decided to take with us was able to fit in one of those, is it called a 5x10, the smallest U-Haul truck. I left all the furniture, I left dishes, pots, everything. It had to start over, like no living room, nothing. I did take a television, but it was a television they already had. I took very little things that had to start over, but I tell you what, I have so much peace because of that. Now this video is a little mild. I'm calling it mild because for time purposes, and I'm sure I've gone way over what I wanted to go. Because of that, I can't tell it or spill it all in one video, and I will break it down in other videos. And I'm sharing this because I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of where I come from. I literally went from not wanting to be here after enduring so much heartache and pain from this situation, feeling like I didn't have anyone to go to. And it's hard when you feel like you don't have your own mother, like you can't go to your own mother because your mother was the primary source of your pain. To fighting and saying, you know what, I have the right to be here, and besides my children, I am starting to see my own worth, and I'm healing, I'm growing, I know that I am worth it. And so if you are someone, or if you know someone that is dealing with narcissist abuse in a marriage or romantic relationship, please share this with them. And just let them know, hey, check me out. As far as, I'm not asking for you all, like, please subscribe to my channel. No, it's bigger than please subscribe to my channel. This stuff is real, and a lot of people that deal with this stuff don't want to be here. They don't want to be here after enduring, and it's so easy to say why you didn't leave, or why you didn't leave. Sometimes you don't know that you can. I had to, after I stopped torturing myself, I had to allow myself to know that and understand and receive the fact that if I knew better, I would have done better. And once I not only knew better, but found that strength and didn't have enough pride to not share with other people, then I had that ability to move on. And I tell you what, I won't ever allow myself to go through anything like that ever again, because I love myself. So share this with someone that, if they're currently going through something, or if they're in this phase and they're feeling like they want to go back because they feel like, oh, I'm so lonely or whatever, it's not worth it. Your self-worth, your love, your right to be who you were meant to be and who you want to be. Your mental health, your physical health is way more important than staying in something that, if you don't take yourself out, they will eventually take you out. And if they don't take you out physically, they're going to drive you crazy. I was in wherever we live, walking around barely existing. I was just a shell. I had no life. I felt like I had no purpose. And that is not why we're here. I don't care what you believe spiritually. I feel like we can all agree that we didn't come here to just feel like nothing. What's the point? What's the purpose? So I thank you all for stopping by today to hear my story about leaving the narcissist, because enough was enough. And it feels good that I can look in the mirror, and yes, I still have some tough and sad days, and some things are hard, and he still do things that is like, but proud of myself, of my reactions. I'm proud of myself for knowing that I did it. I was afraid to do this. I was threatened at some point and told that my life, and he would take his own life. I've been told this before. And got to the point where I said, you know what? I'm dead anyway. I gotta go, because if I stay, I'm gonna die. So either way I go, I'm just going to have to take my chances. I'm going to have to call your bluff, bro. And I'm not saying any of you do that. If you're seriously in a situation where you feel that way, there are agencies out there, like the Hubbard House, I believe is one of them. Reach out to someone. You have to do it in a safe way. But I had to do what I had to do. So again, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. If this was beneficial or encouraging to you, then that was my hope. And share this again with someone you feel like may benefit from this. Thanks for stopping by, and I will talk with you all in a new video. Bye bye for now.